Okay, this is a quick video to go through our next assessment task. So we've gone through this in class. I'm going to give you a one-stop shop video which will run through everything. So if you have any questions while you're at home, you can check this video. So this document is up on our Google Classroom. So this is a PDF of the task. Dartboard cabinet, submission 1. So this is actually going to be split into 2. So this is the first part of the folio and a progress on your prac that we'll be assessing. And then the rest of it will be due in term 4. So the completed product is due in term 4. So for this task, you'll be creating a dartboard cabinet and folio. You'll be assessing the following parts of the project and folio. It is not expected that the project and folio will be completed by the submission date. So only the parts listed in this task is what has to be done. Everything listed in this task needs to be done. Let me stress that. The next task is due in term 4, and we'll assess the completed dartboard and the rest of the folio. Below is a list of the items that will be assessed in the task. Please use the links to see the examples of what is to be submitted. So the project, the carcass pieces are to be measured, cut, and joinery process must have commenced, and evidence of quality workmanship and the timber surfaces should be sanded. So we have here folio. Now, part 1, folio guide. Part 1 needs to have the title page, very simple, a contents page using Google Docs contents page creator, which will show you, and then your statement of intent. Then we come into our research. You need to research existing designs, research materials, research tools, machines, joints and fittings, process and adhesives. And then for part 3, we're looking at initial sketches, final design sketch, and then a CAD drawing of your working drawings. Now, the marking criteria is all listed in here. You can read through that, and then that's what we're going to be looking at in prac. 40 marks is going to be attributed to the folio, and then 10 marks for this progress point of prac. So a lot of this task is weighted towards folio. Now, these guides are here. These guides are linked here. But then if we go to Classroom, this is what we're looking at. There's your task. Complete your folio here. So you click on this document, and it is a blank Google Doc. This is the only doc that I'm going to open and mark. So do not make a copy. Do not work in Microsoft Word. Only do your folio on this document here. We will have discussed this in class. Then you're looking at part 1 folio introduction and statement of intent. So this is a bit of a help document. So as I said, you can click on this in your Google Classroom, or you click on that link through this assessment task, part 1 guide, and it opens up this document here. And it's telling you that you need to have a title page. You need to have these 4 things on your title page. Image of the product. When you submit this, you're taking a photo of what you are up to. If you have already assembled half of your carcass, if your whole carcass is assembled, or if it is just 5 pieces of timber, you take a photo of that, you put that in. Table of contents, and then this video here will show you how to use insert, all the way in the bottom here, table of contents. Shows you how to do that. We've run through it in class. And then your statement of intent. What are you going to produce? How you intend to produce it? Why you are producing this project. And you need to have some statements inside this that you will then evaluate at the end. So if you're telling me here you're making a cabinet that's going to store darts, it's going to house a dart board, and it's going to have a mahogany finish. That's your intentions. You're going to make it at school. You're going to use the laser. Tell me as much as you can in that statement. And then at the very end of this whole task, you're going to evaluate this in term 4. And you'll be able to say, well, in my statement of intent, I'm going to make a dartboard. Did I do that? Yes or no? And then explain what happened. It's going to house an entire dartboard. Tell me if that happened. Explain how that happened. But what you evaluate comes from this section here in project proposal. There's the first part of your folio done. Now, do not type on this document. This information needs to make its way into this doc. So in our classroom, under Dartboard, complete your folio here. For my class, the 23 students in this 10 Timber B, that is your task. Good to see they've got some images of people who have started their folios there. Now, back to Google Classroom, 10 Timber B. After part 1, we come to part 2. There is 23 copies of this. You don't need that, but we're looking at this is what I expect to see in research. Existing designs. Minimum of 3. You need to include the source of where this image came from. A PMI or a PN chart. Evaluate what you are looking at. Now again, there is a link here. We have not given you a template. This is what a PMI is, and this is a potential way that you could lay it out. This is not the only way that you can put a PMI together. But you give me an image, you're evaluating it, you're telling me about what's good about it, what's not so good about it, what's an interesting feature of it. You need to give me 3 of those, and that would go in this document. Back to our research help. So, researching existing designs. Now you need to research materials. Suggested materials are there. They're not the only ones you can do. You don't have to do all 4 of those, but this is some options here. Click on this link. It's going to show you a table. This is a potential way of a layout that you could use. Tools. Researching a range of tools. Now you need to make a decision here. Is 1 tool a range? Is 2 tools a range? Discuss this with your teacher. But you've got tools. We're looking at hand tools here. Then you have machinery. Same deal here. Click on these links. It'll show you a document about how you could lay this out. Now, joints and fittings. Research a range of joints. Dovetail joints. Pocket screws. Domino. Evaluate. Explain these processes. If you click on this link, this requires you to tell me some information about it. What are 6 steps that you would need to follow to create that particular joint? Tell me about the tools that we use. Tell me about the safety considerations. A process. Now, what process might you have undertaken with this project? Possibly how you're going to finish your project. Now, for these ones, we're not giving you a template. We're not giving you a sample or an example here. You're going to show us, looking at what you've already had to do here, what's the best way that you could lay out some research on a process that you're going to follow. And then looking at some adhesives, there's some suggestions there. You're going to create your own table. Now making our way after part 2 is part 3. This is a pretty big part of this task. So for part 3, initial sketches and your ideas. So using the information you've collected from your research section, so from your PMIs, you need to create a sketch. Every one of your sketches must show a link to an existing design. I'll show you a sample in a moment. Once you've done your 3 to 4 sketches, you're then looking at a final design. So after you look at different dartboard cabinets that exist on the market, if you were going to design your own dartboard cabinet, what would it look like? Now, your final design must include features from your research designs. And I'll show you what I mean by that in a moment. And then you come to Fusion 360 drawings. Now, on our Google Classroom page, there is Fusion 360 dartboard cabinet. Now, this document here shows you how to draw the dartboard. You click on this link, it runs through all the steps, and you will draw this dartboard that you should have seen already. You follow those steps and you will produce your own working drawings like this with measurements with a title block. You complete all of that, then we're going to call your ability in CAD a B. But what we're looking for our A students here, you need to show us your research, potential dartboard cabinet. Tell us about it, give us some evaluation. 3 of these need to be completed in your folio. Then you're sketching. 3 different sketches. Now you can see in this sketch where I got my inspiration from. Then you come up with your final design. Here is my hand-drawn final design where I'm not just having rectangular doors, I've got this little diamond shape going on. Those that are going to get an A for CAD produce that drawing. So this is your designed modification, which if we had unlimited time in the workshops, you would look at doing. We will all make the dartboard cabinet that we saw earlier, this one here, with these types of doors. But for your folio, you need to draw in Fusion 360, dimension it, title block, export, of which we're not going to give you a sample video on how to draw your drawing. You're showing the marker that you know how to use Fusion 360. That's how you get your A when it comes to basically all of part 3. Show me your sketches, give me a final design, and then create a CAD drawing of your design. So these are the 3 things that are due. Term 3, week 6 on the Thursday. That's the morning of Champagne Day is when all this is due. Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, and then wherever you're up to in your practice.